Thanks. It's like Carl, actually. I had a bit of a panic as I came in, thinking, wow, there's so many amazing talks about AI and data and everything. And like Carl, I'm going more back into basics. I'm really talking about more of a designer's point of view, our basic kind of like BIM journey back in like 2013, 2012, when we started here, implementing BIM, especially at level 1 as well. So, got the clicker. So I'll just do a quick company practice profile. We're award-winning architectural practice, primarily architectural. We've got 95 staff at the moment. Based in London, we're kind of expanding, looking to about 120 at the beginning of next year. Again, we specialize in residential, mixed use, hotels, leisure, master planning, and we've just recently opened up a landscape design team and an interior design team. Multi-award winning, I won't go through them all, design awards and good company practice awards as well. Our MD, John Assael, down bottom right-hand corner, talking with students, mentors a lot of students as well. So we're very, very, very experienced at build to rent, and we've kind of worked a lot with developers around the country in the UK, helping them author their kind of build to rent design guides. And we've also authored the Urban Land Institute's build to rent design guide as well, their section, for both of their editions. And we've also kind of helped the ULI develop their Ireland branch as well for their build to rent design guide. We also specialise in volumetric modular as well, although I won't really be talking about that much in terms of BIM, although we have been doing BIM for that. But one of our main projects, I'll go into more detail later on. I'll go through a few of the Assael projects as well. One of our first level 1 BIM projects, Greenwich Creekside Wharf at Deptford Creekside in London. Our first level 1 BIM project, build to rent as well. Another build to rent is our second BIM level 2 project, 440 new build rent homes in Walthamstow in East London. Ponson Doc, one of our main projects, the case studies that I'll go through later on. This was our first BIM level 2 project, built to rent as well, 236 affordable homes, 3 blocks in London Docklands. Our latest level 2 project, Hungate Block G for client lend lease as well. That's our latest level 2 project. And I'll go through our BIM journey as well. So at the start of it, like every architectural practice, we'll always have like a symbol template library. It's always good to have a template library which is basically more for the architectural practice's needs or the consultant's needs. So in this case, we specialise in residential. So we've already had things like London Housing Design Guide back in the day when it was more compliance, Part M compliance, and then you've got the National Space Standards coming in later on. So back in 2013, we wanted to just kind of spend the time, sit down and actually develop our own BIM library specific for our residential needs. I think that has basically paid off, and a lot of practices just haven't really kind of spent the time to develop that. I think it's a really big advantage, especially more for bigger practices that could use these kind of standards that will kind of provide a more efficient process of working through their projects. So again, we've kind of developed things like templates, like elevational templates. So the thing is with BIM level 1 is that you get a single source of truth and you'll always build a model rather than do 2D drawings. So I've developed kind of like a template where you have preset lighting sources in Vectorworks, and any of the model that we would actually do, we would do viewport captures from the actual model to create those elevations. So you get texture renders and shadow renders, always at the perfect 45-degree angle. And all teams, that's an Assael standard that we use throughout all the projects. So starting with our BIM level 2 journey, obviously we kind of looked at the typical documents, the guidance documents, PAS 1192 2013 Part 2, and BS 1192 2007 for naming conventions, origins, and how to set up your model. Those two, I think they're going to be replaced early next year with an ISO standard. And then we also looked at Uniclass as well. Even though when we started using Uniclass, 2015 was around, but it wasn't that accepted yet within the construction industry. So we kind of stuck with Uniclass 1.4, and then we basically moved over to 2015 just earlier this year. BIM execution plans. So obviously Ponson Doc, we worked with Bouygues, French contractor. So they've actually developed their own kind of BIM execution plan, and we kind of worked with them to develop theirs as well, updating their BIM execution plan. Worked with the Hungate Block G Lend-Lease, helping them develop their BIM execution plan. So gaining all of those experiences, we've kind of developed our own BIM execution plan, and it's used more for our clients that want BIM but are very less experienced on BIM. And actually going through that process in our BIM execution plan gives them a really good understanding of Level 2 BIM itself. So I'll go into more detail about Ponson Doc. Build-to-Rent project, joint venture between Bouygues and Granger, about 230 units. One block out there on the left hand, on the white block, is all affordable. I'll talk about more of the site. So over on the left hand side, you've got a satellite photograph of London itself. You've got the white Millennium Dome, and then you've got the River Thames, obviously. And just on, it's probably more clear on this diagram here, you've got Thames Barrier Park, and that grey line there is the London Docklands Viaduct, and it's just outside Ponson Dock Station. So you can see our site is just sandwiched in between the viaduct itself and Ponson Dock, Thames Barrier Park itself. So in our firm, a lot of our teams use SketchUp. Now for this project, we really wanted to use Vectorworks itself, just purely straight from the off-go. So basically, we just did all the massing models in Vectorworks. To be fair, we actually brought in the site 3D by using Z-Maps, a 3D DWG imported into Vectorworks. That worked out quite well. Initial renders of our massing. So we're quite fortunate enough to be a large architectural practice to have our own visualization department. And they work in Cinema 4D, so basically the integration between Vectorworks native files to Cinema 4D was well, they could read native files straight away. So we actually got very, very good renders from the visualization team. But lately, I think they've moved over to 3D Studio Max, and we just basically export models. That's not been a problem itself. So over the image on the left-hand side, you can see how close our proposal is to the actual viaduct itself and the actual station. Over on the right-hand side, I failed to mention that 3 blocks on the podium itself. On the podium floor, on the right-hand side, between the 2 blocks, you've got access into Thames Barrier Park. So there's a public space that goes through the actual podium itself. Go on to the next slide. Working on early massing studies, Vectorworks deals very, very greatly with spaces, and they give us an instant kind of area schedules, flat type schedules. So it's incredibly useful in terms of gaining all of the views and playing around with the massing, getting an update, instant update for schedules. It's great for exporting to clients as well. On the left-hand side, we've got a plan. Again, talking about the single source of truth, all plans, elevations, all come from our model itself. So we primarily work in Vectorworks, another BIM authoring software, along with kind of like ArchiCAD as well. As you know, Revit isn't the only kind of BIM software. So over on the left-hand side, we develop kind of sections from our kind of model. On the right-hand side, we use tools like ClipTube, which is very, very incredibly useful. I always try to guide teams in terms of when they're actually building the model, to always keep checking the model in 3D. I see a lot of designers still kind of working in 2D, and then they rotate the model and suddenly realize that all objects are all over the place, they're not set out properly, the stair cores aren't done properly. Yes, you can actually validate that later on in Calibri, but it's best to actually get it right in the first place, to actually, before actually exporting Calibri, be a bit more efficient. So going back to the elevation templates, a lot of our elevations are kind of using those preset light sources. So you've got our kind of Renderworks textures with our elevations, all shadows are all live updated. Again, with good thing about BIM Level 1 model is that anything you update, any changes that you make, you would just update the actual 2D elevations or plans, and it would just update straight away rather than drawing in 2D. Again, this is one of our floor plate designs on Vectorworks on the right-hand side there. So I think Carl mentioned also IFC as a good introduction in terms of IFC. Vectorworks is, like all BIM authoring software, is great at kind of exporting IFC, and IFC is pretty much the only way to kind of collaborating with other consultants as well. It's definitely the industry foundation classes developed by Building Smart Technologies. I think it's the way to go for that one. So as you can see, our kind of overlay of Ponson Doc with the architectural model on the left-hand side, and then kind of grayed out the structures, and on the right-hand side, the M&E. So in our BIM execution plan, you kind of agree kind of like a fortnightly cycle model exchange. You kind of agree this in the BIM execution plan. So what we would do as an architectural practice, we'd kind of develop our architectural design, export that out into IFC for the coordination time 4 days, and then export that to the MEP and the structures consultants. While they look at our architectural model, they develop their actual designs, export that from IFC back to the architectural, give that back to us for us to federate the model and actually do a bit of coordination, clash detection, and develop coordination reports, all for between 1 day back to the DTM, which should all be given out to the client contractor, the MEP consultant, and the structures consultant, all ready for the actual DTM. So you're all ready in terms of having a good DTM with the model, design reports, and any clashes. What I generally do is, even though you get like hundreds, thousands of clashes, it's best to actually just concentrate on like the 5 top clashes that you actually discuss on the DTM. Don't discuss like 10, 15, 20 clashes because it will just go on forever. Just highlight 5 or 6 main clashes that you really want to talk about in the DTM. And that fortnightly cycle keeps going on within the agreed BEP within the actual rework stage. Over on the left-hand side, we've got like Vectorworks screen grabs of working, using the click cube, just making sure, bringing in the IFC M&E, making sure that everything coordinates. You've got kind of like all the pipe works and making sure that kind of fits in with the sinks, the toilets and everything. There's no clash detection on BIM authoring tools, although you can use BCF. I won't go into that, but on the right-hand side, we kind of do everything, all our federating, all our models and clash detection in Library. That's incredibly useful in terms of their rule sets as well, and we would develop our own reports, either BCF or PDF reports, to the client or the contractor itself. So Ponson Doc actually started on site early 2017, and it will finish early 2019. So almost there. As you can see, I failed to mention, because it's Bouygues contractors, being over on the continent, they actually really like the continental build system, which is the first time for us at Assael to do anything like this. And what that means is basically all of the external walls and the internal party walls are all load-bearing RC concrete with all the slabs. So as you can see, it's lots and lots of concrete, just punched holes for door openings or window openings. So as you see with BIM, and this continental construction method, is that there's a lot of things that can go wrong. So using BIM Level 2, this kind of irons out a lot of our coordination processes with clash detection, and also kind of like, kind of getting things right. It'll never be 100% right. We've had a few issues on certain things, but like 90% of the time, you get it right. Like over there on the left-hand side, all that concrete, that's one flat unit there. Middle there, you've got the Copex for all the electrics before the concrete is to be poured. You don't really, should be a slide recently that somebody actually got that wrong. They actually had to kind of dig all that out and replaster it all. All the copex, for the openings, there's a bit of clash going on here. I think there was a test as well. So BIM Level 2 really does help with that. Again, all the copex and the hot water and cold water pipes just before pouring in a slab. The middle slide there, you've got a good view of Thames Barrier Park, Thames Barrier and the River Thames itself on site. Again, on the right-hand side, just more concrete there on site. So in terms of Assael, what have you learned from BIM on Ponson Doc? Well, we've learned that setting up templates and libraries more efficiently really benefits all teams within our practice. We've got like about 9 teams developing all sorts of varied projects using symbols and template libraries, and it's a really good benefit to have. You'd be surprised that a lot of architectural practices still actually don't have symbol and template libraries, which I'm completely shocked by. Keep checking your model in 3D. Always use that 3D tool. Many teams I keep seeing within our practice still like to just work in 2D, and when they rotate it, they have to clean up their 3D process again. Just keep getting used to modeling rather than drawing. And then 3, agree your OS base locations to internal origin. It's vital that when you're collaborating with other consultants, especially with different BIM authoring tools, other kind of tools as well, is to agree your local coordinates to 0, 0. Agree what that British OS grid system would be to that local coordinates. What you should, as a golden rule, what you should never do is actually build in real world coordinates, because that's when things go wrong in computing terms. So it's good to actually spend the time, and that actually goes on to my 5th point, which is basically trial model exchanges with different BIM platforms a week before. I mean, with other consultants, just trial some model exchanges. Don't do it on the day of actually exchanging models, because things go wrong. Just a week before. Like Carl said, be nice about it, be generous about it, work together, collaborate well, and actually kind of, experiment more and find out why, for example, this toilet is about 100 miles away. Find out things like that. Actually, I missed out the 4th point. Agree items in the BEP, items like dates of model exchange. Well, that's typical for BEP. But I actually disagree with Carl. One of Carl's points, sorry, I keep going to Carl Thurston's point, is I actually think there should be BIM technical meetings, very short technical meetings between BIM managers or even project leads, because what you don't want to do is drag a DTM into a technical meeting. You should separate that. For the DTMs, you should talk more about design and how to collaborate and fix things in terms of resolving issues, and the technical meeting should be a separate 1-hour meeting after the DTM, just to talk about why is that item not coming through in file exchange, why is that item 100 miles from my actual model. You just basically don't really want to be talking about that in the DTM, but you kind of want to sort that out as well. So to have a separate BIM internal meeting, I think is actually a good idea, and I would actually write that into the BEP as well. And the last one is, I failed to mention, is that use a BIM communication tool. So for Ponson Doc, we actually used BIM Collab, which is incredibly useful. Rather than kind of emailing screen grabs and PDFs all the time, it's great to actually use a web documenting tool for BIM, specifically designed to kind of collate reports and have a history to it as well, and actually kind of issue out to certain consultants responsible to resolve those issues. And things like BIM Collab and Reviz2 are actually directly linked in with, I think, Revit as well. BIM Collab definitely is linked in with Celebri, which is what we use for Ponson Doc. Any kind of reports that we would do, we would just kind of send them straight off, and that links into Reviz2, and that goes straight off to each consultant who's involved with Ponson Doc. And that's me. Thank you very much.